I'm here to talk to you about three issues. One issue is Corona, where we are now. And the other issue is discipline in politics and security. And the third issue is economy, and especially the aspect of trade. The trade in the region and the trade internationally. Now, starting with Corona, you Abanyankole have a proverb which says that the one who guides you, who leads you in the night, you recognize his contribution when you arrive safely in the morning. Now, almost exactly 1 year ago, on the 18th of March, 2020, I addressed you and I warned you about a very dangerous situation that was unfolding in the world. And this was the pandemic, as they called it, of the coronavirus. It had started in China, I hear, but it spread quickly. So when I addressed you on the 18th of March, exactly almost, we were only four days away from the anniversary of that address, I told you that we had analyzed the characteristics of this disease, and we were sure that if we were disciplined, we could defeat it. And I announced a number of very serious measures, including the closing of schools, sending away our 15 million children to go home, and so on, transport and so on. Now, I'm very glad that many Ugandans supported that. I'm very glad they supported it. The huge majority understood. It was only later that some groups started their usual opportunistic lies to just selfish, don't care about people, they only care about themselves. But the majority of the people understood and actually tried to implement the measures initially. Now, here, 1 year now, we have succeeded. In other countries, they have lost a lot of people. I think as I speak, more than 2 million people have died in the world. And more than 100 million, 100 and something million, have been infected. But the ones who died are between 2 million and 3 million. I didn't check the latest today. In some of the countries like the United States, I have been watching the TV. The people who died in these 12 months were 500, almost 530,000 or something like that. You can imagine, like, the whole district of Ntungamo, all the people there dying. Here, because you listened to our advice, in the last 12 months, we have had 40,581 people infected by this virus. 12,313 have recovered and been discharged. The ones who have died are only 334. This is a big success for which we need to congratulate ourselves, but also thank God for listening to our prayers. The reason we succeeded is that I think that by taking very strict measures and doing so early, the disease came in, and these people who got admitted into hospital were managed well, and they were able to recover. Why? Because there were few. There were not too many. There were few. If there had been many, as happened in other countries in the world, many people would have died. Because there are too many, you can't manage them. Some of the people who come in this, who are being treated in Entebbe, in Mulago, sometimes one patient would take more than 20 days being treated. Doctors and nurses concentrating on him. Now, why could they do this? Because there were few. Why were the people who got infected few? Because we took very serious measures. So therefore, those who were opposing these measures are really your enemies. I'm glad you didn't listen to them. You listened to our advice, and you can see the results. Whatever man sows, that's what he reaps. So I'm very glad. I want to congratulate you by showing obedience, listening, obedience, listening to we, your leaders, who had taken trouble to analyze this disease, and we could see its danger points and also its weak points, and then advise you. We have been able to succeed. As I speak today, in the whole of Uganda, we have got only 24 corona patients in the hospitals, in the whole country, just 24. And we were actually preparing for facilities. That's why we had even converted Nambole to accommodate 40,000 patients. Because that's what I told our people. I said, why don't you use the worst case scenario to plan? Why don't you plan for admitting 40,000 people at a go? And that's what they were building towards. But now, only 24 people are in hospital, in the hospitals all over the country with corona. And out of those, only 8 are a bit severe. Severe, not like being on machines, but needing care. So I congratulate you on this success, because it was our success, all of us. We who advised you and you who listened. We have now started importing vaccines. We have imported the one of AstraZeneca, the one developed by Oxford, but produced in India. We are going to buy more doses of that. And vaccinations have started. Up to now, 1,215 people have been vaccinated. I have not yet been vaccinated, nor has Janet. This is because we wanted to start with the people who are at high risk. These are the people who are working in hospitals, dealing with patients. I had some cases of corona here around us here. Some of our children, the ones who work with for us, got infected. Quite a number of them, maybe more than a dozen. The ones who were in the press unit, the ones who were in the household, even in the kitchen. They got infected, but we were not infected. I think that was because where we live is quite spacious. The houses are big houses. So even if these children would come in with their corona, the space was not squeezed. Being squeezed is part of, being confined is part of, I think, the reason for infecting one another. When there's space, it seems the virus doesn't go far. So we have not yet been vaccinated. But I'm also making my people look at all these vaccines. The one of Oxford, the one of the Chinese, the one of the Russians. We are also developing ours. We're developing our vaccine. We delayed a bit because, first of all, we had to struggle with our own slaves here who don't believe that we should be self-sufficient. They believe in buying Oksaka, Basaka, Murumogu of Oksaka. Those people wasted a bit of our time in importing equipment. Then even the outsiders were saying, you Africans, why do you want to make vaccines? You wait, and we said you. But we said no, we are going to make it. And my people are now moving. Our children are moving. They are very well educated, well trained. You would hear their story. They are on the right track. So we shall make our own vaccine. And our vaccine will be better than some of these vaccines because our children are working on the new virus, because this virus has been mutating. So what we are targeting is the new version, not the old version. So the vaccination will continue. We have started with this one of Oxford, but we are going to bring the other. There's also the one of Johnson & Johnson, which they say is you don't have, because this one of Oxford you need to do 2 times. One time, then after some time, and again. But the one of Johnson & Johnson, it's once. So the reason I have not been vaccinated is because, first of all, I'm quite careful and well protected by the system here. But secondly, I'm also looking at which of the vaccines should I go for. The Johnson & Johnson, the Chinese, the Russian. Ours will take longer, but it will come also. Maybe it will be used in the future. So the world is getting out of this problem by developing a vaccine. Whichever one we use, you can see that we are getting out of the forest. But we, in Uganda here, we are also working on the therapeutics, on the treatment. As I speak now, something interesting is going on. Some patients, all the patients that our people have been treating have been cured. Been cured by combining the standard, what they call standard treatment, the one they have been using, plus our own. And all of them have been healed. So I asked my people, why do you use a combination of the old and the new? They said we don't want to take risks because we are not yet sure that our new would treat. So it was better to use what was already tried plus ours. Then the question is, then how would you know that ours is working? The answer is, the speed of healing will tell you. If A, the old method was taking 8 days, B, which is the old medicine and ours, will take maybe 3 days. Then you will know that, ours added something. And then once you are sure, you can now remove the other, or the A, and you remain with the B. And I can tell you, we are moving very well on that one. My people had a problem of getting patients, because now we are short of corona patients of the right type, because we needed a patient who has just been infected but not yet damaged by the virus, because this virus damages people. Even when you get healed, it can damage the lungs, those internal organs. They say it even affects the brain. So, experimenting on somebody who is already damaged, you will not be sure. So that's why it took a bit of time to get the patients who were the right type. Just infected, not yet damaged. So, because what we want to confirm is that our medicine kills the virus. So that one is moving very well, the therapeutic. Then we have also been moving on the diagnostics. My young people, they are developing an economy called pathogen economy. Pathogen. Pathogens means a wuka, the germs that affect people. Now, because of the sleeping of the Africans who get sick, other people have been making money out of our sicknesses. Yet sicknesses are also a business. But why don't you turn adversity into opportunity? Lwaki ebiwuka bino tutubifuula bye itulembeka sente. Why don't we make money out of these diseases? Since we are rich in diseases, let's also be rich in the money of treating the diseases. That's how we encourage the quality chemicals. The other factory which treats AIDS, produces medicine for treating AIDS in Ruzira. The reasoning was, okay, since we have got a lot of AIDS people, let's make money out of the problem. Why do we allow others to get money out of our sickness? So here we have talked about the vaccine, okutangira, okutsirika. We have talked about the therapeutics to treat, and we are also, our people have made moves on the diagnostics. Ebyokukebera. We have got now 2. One by a certain professor from Makerere. For that one, we are building a factory somewhere. And another one from JSRC. So we are moving well on that one also. So therefore, on Corona, I want to congratulate you for listening to our advice, and we can see, but in the meantime, please, keep on wearing your masks, observe the SOPs, standard operating procedures, until you have got, if you have started with this vaccine of Oxford, you need 2, not 1. So don't relax until you have got the full dose. Then we shall tell you that now you can relax. If we have vaccinated enough people, we shall tell you that now you can relax. But otherwise, follow the SOPs as they are. Put on the mask. I'm not putting in a mask here because I'm alone. I'm far from these young people who are here. Put on a mask, social distance. Don't touch yourself in the eyes and the mouth and the nose, all those things we taught you. Then, after enough numbers have been vaccinated, I will come back like I've come today and tell you that now you can relax. We lose people unnecessarily, because when I remember people have died, really. Dr. Kisamba Mugerwa, Alhaji Chiveji Chirunda, people like Bishop Kagwa in Masaka, people like the late Alfred Mubanda, our former PS, Kasim Mubanda, the woman, the former MP, Nantongo, the former MP, for Jotera, Arupo, the MP of Parisa, Watongo Rahajat, the one of Kamuli. All these were unnecessary death because of not taking precautions. Now, the second topic I want to touch on tonight is discipline. Discipline, especially in politics. The courting case is now finished. I couldn't comment because there was a case in court which had been taken there by the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, saying that we had NRM had cheated them. On the contrary, it is the opposition, especially this group of Kyagulanyi, which cheated massively. Everybody in Uganda knows who cheated. It was the Kyagulanyi's group. Those votes which they are talking about, 3 point something million, those are not there. It was ballot stuffing massively here in Kampala, in other parts of the country, where we had weak organization. Of course, the ballot stuffing, they were helped by the weak organization of the NRM. Because some of them would start ballot stuffing at 5 o'clock. There are so many stations where they would start ballot stuffing at 7 o'clock. When the NRM so-called vote protectors come, I don't know why they were keeping quiet. Then intimidation by, I have reports here of very vicious intimidation by these NUP supporters in many areas, especially in Uganda, but also a little bit in the east, a little bit in Busoga. Areas like Mawokota, Mpigi, like Chotera, Kampala here, Wakiso, very vicious intimidation, even attacks, burning of houses, burning of cars, cutting of banana plantations in some areas. All this is documented. And what was interesting was the police not intervening, because some of the police had been bribed not to intervene. Like, for instance, in one area, NRM people were reporting that they were being attacked, and then the policeman told them that if they are attacking you for putting on yellow, don't put it on. Don't disturb us for us. We are not involved in politics. You are not involved in politics, but you are duty to protect the law. So all those policemen who did not do their duty, we shall go for them. They will be held accountable, because they are the ones actually who were inciting these lawbreakers, thinking that they can break the law with impunity. That's why we had eventually to bring in the army to crush this criminality which has been going on. So it was a big shame that people could do this, and some of the people, the elders, who should have told these young people, we are encouraging them instead. And instead of condemning the army, yes, the army can make their own mistakes, but the original problem were these anti-democratic groups who were trying to intimidate people not to support the NRM. And the massive cheating. Yet the NRM won. Why? Because NRM is very huge. It is an elephant. Those who are cheating, intimidating, attacking, just injured the ear of the elephant. The elephant is still standing and in charge. So therefore, I would advise those who have been involved in these crimes to really repent their mistakes. The children who were arrested by the security forces, many of them have been talked to, and they have given us a lot of information, and have been helped to go back to their families. I would like all the others who were involved in these criminalities to admit their mistakes, cooperate with the security forces, apologize to the ones who were attacked, so that we go back to normal life. But this should never happen again. Should never happen again. As for the policemen who did not do their work and the other corrupt people, we shall go for them. Those ones have no excuse. They cannot remain in the Uganda police, nor can they be allowed to work in any other public office in Uganda, because they have abused their trust, and they are a disgrace. The young people who are being arrested, as I told you the other time, I devoted my other speech on that. Many were released, some were put in court. Others helped the security forces to dismantle the criminal plans. Now, the opposition have been again planning that they will stop the swearing of the president. They won't. They won't, because anybody who is planning that, it's criminal. The security forces will go for him or her. Then they plan all sorts of crazy things, including killing the opposition people themselves, so that they say it is the government which has killed the people of the opposition. These are the schemes they go on hatching. Even to conspire to do that is a crime. If we get evidence on that, we shall go for you. I advise these people, but I'm very glad that many of the former NUP people have refused. Yes, they were supporting NUP. There are some grievances against NRM because of the corrupt NRM fellows. Because NRM also had been infiltrated by parasites who don't do anything, just taking money from the system. So some of the young people were disgruntled, and they had joined the NUP. But NUP turned out to be hijacked by people who work for parasitic interests. But I'm very glad that many of the youth are refusing to follow the criminal plans of their leaders and their foreign masters. There are so many cases. Actually, they started even before the election. Because I remember, for instance, the coordinator for Bunyoro, Akugizibwe, refused to do what he was being told by Chaguranyi. Defy corona riot, they refused. Akugizibwe, the one who was coordinating Bunyoro. Angaria, the one who was coordinating Bunyoro, refused. For NUP, these were all NUP children. The ones in Mbare, Buire, and the girls there, and many others. The ones in Busoga, the ones in the north, massively. they refused to go on with the schemes of this opposition. So those who are still being used, please stop, because we are not going to allow you. You saw the massive deployment we did on election day. You had been told that you would stop the election, but you couldn't. You couldn't. You can't disrupt Uganda. Whoever is deceiving you is deceiving you. So that is on the issue of war. Then part of the problem is caused by the media. There is an evil paper called Monitor. The other day Monitor published that Museveni had secretly got a vaccine. That was before we imported the vaccines. Now, Monitor must apologize. In the front page, the whole page must be covered by apologizing for Museveni. To say that I got vaccinated secretly when my people were still in danger. I am a selfish person. I only care about myself. Monitor must apologize. Big, big letters. If they don't, I go for you. I will get money from you for my party. I don't need money for myself, but I will get quite a bit of money. I've already told the lawyers. Get massive money from those crooks of Monitor. Monitor. That Monitor is supposed to be a paper of Aga Khan. I don't know why Aga Khan likes those crooks in Monitor. But this time, you are going to get, I will get quite a bit of money for my party. We are about to start our movement house. You will contribute to the building of the movement house by damages. So this media is irresponsible, and they need to discipline themselves. Now, on the economy of Uganda will now, of course, we suffered from Corona, but still the economy is growing in spite of the Corona. And once we have taken the last mile on the problem of Corona, we shall open all activities. And we are trying to work out a package for the sectors which were affected for longest, like the bar owners, the musicians, the operators of private schools, the street vendors. We are trying to work out a package for them, especially after opening, so that they can start again, giving them where to start from. Otherwise, the economy is growing, and in this year, we expect the final investment destination on petroleum to be taken, so that the oil companies start extracting oil from Lake Albert, or preparing to extract oil by building the pipeline and also building the refinery. However, even in the meantime, even before all that has happened, as you have seen, we have got a lot of production. I mentioned this during the campaigns. While Uganda in 1986 was a land of shortages, it is now a land of surpluses. Surplus sugar, surplus maize, surplus milk, surplus bananas, surplus cement, surplus industrial products, mitayimbwa, everything is surplus. Unlike 1986 when it was shortage. Ebola rufuse ekyengera. Amafa gahindukira omweru. Where there was shortage, there is now plenty. Now, this brings in the issue of trade, of market. Where do you sell what you produce? This is what we have been telling you. The NRM, from the 1960s, specifically for me, in my case, from 1963, this is 58 years ago, we have been telling Ugandans that in order to solve the issue of market, we must work for the integration of East Africa and of Africa. Now, some of the people, instead of listening to that, they talk about tribes. Tribes. They talk about religious groups. We have been telling you that this is false ideology. The ones who tell you about tribes, the ones who tell you about religious sectarianism, are false prophets. Banabi abobulimba. Banabi abebshuba. This is because tribal organization, religious sectarianism will not solve our three problems, our three needs. Need number one is prosperity. Our families need to be prosperous. Prosperous how? By producing and selling what we produce. When I produce and I sell, the more I sell, the more prosperous I become. I've been telling you many times that me being a Munyankore and producing milk and producing beef and producing bananas and producing coffee and producing tea. Many of the Banyankore don't support my prosperity because they don't buy my milk. Why? Because they also have milk. They don't buy my beef. They don't buy my bananas. Why? Because they have the same. The people who support my prosperity are after the people of other parts of Uganda who buy what they don't have. And the people of Kampala, their prosperity is supported by the people up country who come and buy from their shops. But besides, even when you have got trade within Uganda, that internal trade is not enough. We need the East African trade. We need the trade of COMESA. We need the trade of Africa. So that's why we have been talking of integration. During the campaign, I showed you this paper. This one here. This picture was on the 6th of June, 1963, when Mwalimu Nyerere, Mzee Obote, Mzee Kenyatta were in Nairobi, and they were declaring that 1963, before it ends, the East African Federation will be launched. East African Federation. In the end, it was frustrated by people who couldn't see far. And those who frustrated the East African Federation did not end up well. Many of the problems we had would never have come if we had gone for the East African Federation. Amin would never have taken power if we were under the East African Federation. The genocide in Rwanda would never have taken place if we were under the East African Federation. Many of the problems would never have happened. So now, the other day I was hearing some of our MPs talking of retaliation. I couldn't agree with that type of line. What we need is to patiently work for the integration of East Africa. When I had a chance to read Uganda, one of the other things I did was to work with Mzee Moi, Mzee Mwinyi, eventually Mzee Mkapa, to revive the East African common market. We have done that. We have now a common market. And Uganda is benefiting a lot from that common market. So when I was hearing some of the fellows in Parliament, the way they were talking, the Banyankule say, Nenko Bento, Nishekera Yakabira Kusia. Young monkeys, when they see the forest on fire, they clap, they enjoy the fire in the forest. They don't know that once the forest is burnt, they have nowhere to hide. Uganda is benefiting a lot from the East African community already. The figures I have, I think that, let me see the figures. Uganda is earning how much from? The figures are here. In 2019, from East Africa, Uganda earned about $1.2 billion. And from COMESA, it earned $1.7 billion. So Uganda is earning a lot. But of course, a treaty, because the common market is under a treaty endagano is different from the union. If East Africa had united, the trade within East Africa would not be governed by treaty. It would be one country. Just like the producer of textile in Nigeria does not negotiate with anybody to sell in Karamoja, to sell in Western Nile, or to sell in Kisoro. It is much easier to, that's why other countries united. Germany was 39 kingdoms in in 1870. 39 kingdoms, Prussia, Bavaria, Saxony. And at that time they couldn't trade. But when they became a united Germany, goods could go from one end to another end. Now, some of the people were saying that the idea of federation would not solve the present problems. I'm not saying that the federation will solve the present problem of maize, but I'm saying that this problem of maize would not arise if we had gone for the federation. So therefore, I would invite especially the young people, because when we were supporting these efforts, we were young. We rejected tribalism when we were young, and we supported patriotism and Pan-Africanism. So therefore, yes, we are going to, the idea of retaliation is not a good idea, because it plays in the hands of those who want us to break up. In 1986, Kenya was exporting to Uganda $200 million worth of goods in a year. Uganda was selling to Kenya only $12 million. At that time, people were telling me to close the border because Kenya was cheating us. I said, no, I will not close the border. I will not interfere with the trade. Instead, I would build Uganda. Now, Uganda is exporting as much to Kenya as Kenya is exporting to Uganda, and in some years more to Kenya than Kenya is exporting to us. And if it was not for these non-tariff barriers, Uganda would export much more. So patience and focus is what we need, and negotiations. Not excitement, but more important is ideological clarity. That those who talk of trade in one breath and tribalism and sectarianism in another breath are bogus. They are enemies of Africa. Africa needs integration, needs patriotism, needs Pan-Africanism. And we shall defeat the tribalists, because the tribalists cannot block our historical journey. The sectarianists, they should know that if they push that road, they know who will oppose them. As determinedly as we opposed all the other traitors in the past. You get in touch with our brothers and sisters in Tanzania and Kenya and Rwanda and Burundi and Congo. Instead of going to Europe, to all over the place, go and discuss with our African comrades. I was watching Tanzania TV today. There was a young boy there who was again repeating what Mwalimu was saying. Spend more time by talking to the other East Africans so that we build a united East Africa. As long as the countries are separate, you will get opportunities. Parasites. Because now the issue of maize, Uganda produces maize cheaply. And because we produce maize cheaply, we can undersell anybody in the world. Now, because we produce cheap and good maize, that means we also have good chicken, because chicken depend on animal feeds. Now, because of that, some of the parasite groups in some of the neighboring countries, they get worried. Oh, cheap maize from Uganda is going to take our business. Cheap milk from Uganda is going to take our business. We can't solve that by retaliation. We need to solve it by engaging them. If necessary, inviting them. You come. Okay, you come and be part of the business in Uganda, so that you are part of producing the cheap maize, and you sell it to the other place. Dialogue, engagement, cooperation is what we need, not just empty shouting on TVs, so that they see that you have spoken, even when you have spoken nothing. In this Kisanja, because the mistake makers have seen their own mistakes. During the campaigns, I was showing you my message for the last 54 years. I started in 1966, sensitizing people in my area there about going from Okore Chidachonka and working for the stomach and the pocket. Where people have listened to my message, they are prosperous. Recently, I sent a team to go around and witness. And they have gone around. They have seen. They have gone to Rengaju in Fort Portal. They have seen how the whole parish has been transformed because they listened to my message. They have been to Kisozi. Kisozi, I've got 2,300 homes near me. When I went there, they were all democratically poor. Now, they are all, about 1,700 homesteads are engaged in money making. The villages have changed. The team has been visiting some parts of Ruero. There are some families which have changed. I want them to visit the cattle corridor, starting with Chiruhura, where families have totally changed, as I was showing you on TV the other time during the elections. So in this Kisanja, in these 5 years, we are going to ensure that no more parasitism by the public servants, politicians, civil servants, ukweyongera emisara, to increase their salaries before you solve the problem of the people. That will not happen. That game is finished. I was a bit polite in the past, but that game is finished. In these 5 years, there are 9 million families in Uganda. I want each year about 2 million families to go into money making, to be assisted to go into money making, so that by the end of 5 years, all the 9 million families would have gone into money making. Money making in the 4 sectors of Wondobuna: commercial agriculture, obulimi n'obulunzi obukola sente. Pour Manyen, modern agriculture. getting out of Okora Echida Kyonka. Teach me each keken. No, out of that. Working for the stomach, but also the pocket, through agriculture. Then industries, the big ones, the small ones, the maize mills, the food mixers, the oil extractors, shoemaking, textile, cloth, weaving, knitting, carpentry, woodwork, all those little factories. My office is under Natural is helping in some of those, in the zono industrial parks. Then services and ICT. So that by the end of 5 years, everybody, every family is involved in money making. Now that will create the problem of the market. Because if all of these produce, we already have a surplus now. What if everybody produces? That's why I'm telling you that the answer is the regional market. Part of the answer is the regional market. But also there's the internal market. The internal market is now small because people are not earning income. They don't have money in their pockets. If they don't have money in their pockets, they can't buy as much. You now hear that there is a surplus. I've told you this before. You now hear that there is a surplus of milk. But this is actually not true. The surplus is a bit artificial. This is because Ugandans are not drinking milk enough, according to the health requirements. In order to be healthy, in order to keep teeth in your mouth, I still have all my teeth in my mouth at the age of 76. I haven't lost a single tooth. In order to have strong bones, a human being needs to drink 210 liters of milk per annum, so that he gets enough calcium, enough phosphorus for the bones. But Ugandans are now drinking only 60 liters per person, instead of 210 liters per person. Now, if they were drinking 210 liters per person, we would need about 10 billion liters of milk per year. So the present production level of 2.6 billion liters, which we say is a surplus, would not be a surplus. Would be not having enough to feed the internal market. But in order for them to expand the internal market, first they need to be educated to know that they need more milk for the health reasons, but also to have money in the pocket to pay for it. So the second solution to the market is the internal demand growing. In the budget, we are looking at possibility of giving porridge to children in school. If we can budget and we have porridge, a cup of porridge per day for the children in school, that will increase the internal demand of maize flour. If we add a half liter or a liter of milk, that will also provide market for the milk. And if we could add 1 egg per child per day, that will boost the internal demand. But the better way is for homes to have income so that they buy on their own rather than depending on the government budget. So there is a solution. Let's all work, everybody work to make all the families involved in money making so that the families have money, and because they have money, they buy. Textiles, the people are not buying enough textiles. The other time I was telling them that how many bed sheets are there in a home. If there are 10 children in a home, each one should be having 4 bed sheets. When you use 2, you wash the other 2. Two sheets, 1 pair, then another pair. But what is the situation now? Next time I come here, I will give you the meters per person, meters of textiles per person. You will see that it's not big compared to the world. So the other issue is the other answer is the internal demand to grow. It will grow. So therefore, producers don't despair. The answers are there. The final one is international, the international market. But in order to qualify for the international market, we must meet the standards. Like this aflatoxin they are talking about. It is because of bad harvesting, of bad storage, and so on. So the international market is there. For instance, the Iranians came here, they wanted to buy all the maize. But the maize had aflatoxin. And the Iranians went away. The Iranians who went away were not the Kenyans whom you are quarreling with now. For them, they wanted to buy everything. Why did they not buy? Because they found some quality issues. In Nigeria, they want to buy all the milk, all the powdered milk. They are our good friends. I approached them politically, and they came. They wanted to buy. But they said, no, you cannot buy because your country has had foot and mouth in the last 12 months. Why are you, the Banyankore, keeping foot and mouth in our area? Why don't you really be tough on those who move cows illegally and spread the foot and mouth? Because you know them. Of course, the officials also should be knowing them. But even if the officials are corrupt, it is we who lose. To a henna, we punish ourselves by allowing corrupt officials to use their corruption and keep foot and mouth in our area. If the officials are not doing the job, let's do it ourselves and expose those officials and get rid of them, and then we solve the issue of foot and mouth, and then we can be able to sell. They want to buy our milk. Algeria wanted to buy all the milk, but the foot and mouth. So the market is there, the internal, people need to have money in their pockets. The regional, more negotiation and more mobilization, and for the ultimate answer is the federation. Because once we reach federation level, then the market is one. Many fellows like to go to the US. Yes, the United States is prosperous because they united their area. The 13 colonies of the British united and formed the nucleus of the United States. There are now 50 countries in one union. Texas, California, 50 of them, which they built because those are new countries. I will invite some of our people to a place called Biharwe. There is a hotel called Igongo. One of our people has built a hotel there, and developed a tourism site there, celebrating the eclipse of the sun of 1520. That eclipse, which happened at Biharwe, they call it Wirakabe de Banyankore, scattered, frightened a huge army of Banyoro who had raided cows from Rwanda. And they were coming back from raiding. When they were there, the eclipse came, and these superstitious fellows fled. They thought the earth had come to the end. And they abandoned these cows there, which the Banyankore took. And they called them Empenda ya Munoni, like the gift from heaven, because they took those cows. This was 1520. Now, these kingdoms of ours were already here. There was that kingdom the kingdom of Rwanda, where these Banyoro were coming from raiding, the kingdom of Ankore, the kingdom of Buganda, the kingdom of Bunyoro. Those kingdoms were already there. And I believe the one of Karagwe was also there by that time. This is 1520. A country like the United States was not there. That country was not there. United States, these whites went to live there in 1623. This is now almost like a century after the eclipse of Biharwe. 1623, that's when the Mayflower went. The first settlers went to the US in 1623. Now, that new country has come to overtake the whole world, while we, the old countries, the old kingdom states, are here, stuck in the tribalism, all this parasitism of some small parasites. This is not acceptable. How did it come that those new countries became stronger than us? Because of the greed and lack of foresight of our leaders. You can't go on with the old, if the old ways could work, why did we remain behind? So those new countries succeeded because they solved some of the problems of the human being. One of them is the market. Where do I sell what I produce? In the US, you have got a land of 3 million square miles. Uganda, 93,000 square miles. Some people think it is too big. It's too big. We should break it into tribes. There you have land of 3 million square miles with 320 million people. If I produce a product in New York, I can go and sell it in California. That is like 4,000 miles away. Same with India, same with China. Producers they have very little work. You produce, and what you produce is automatically sold in a big market. Here, you produce, when you are beginning to grow up, the market is, you can't go to Rwanda, you can't go to Kenya, you can't go to... The issue of the market must be solved by all the three methods: the integration, the internal demand, and the international. So I thank you, and I wish you good luck.